Across the shining stars of the Zera Empire, a special announcement echoed through every channel, every screen, and every mind link. On Zephyra Prime, the grand capital planet, the Emperor's voice boomed. The royal tournament will begin in one moon cycle. The winner will claim the heart and hand of Princess Ariana. It was not just any tournament. Every decade, the Empire held this event, inviting warriors and champions from across 100 alien worlds. Contestants would compete in challenges of strength, wisdom, and spirit. Winning meant glory, power, and the chance to stand beside the next ruler of the galaxy. People everywhere buzzed with excitement. On distant planets, hopefuls began to train, dreaming of greatness. On Earth, far from the Empire's bright center, few believed any human could win. Humans were new to the galaxy's stage, still seen as simple or backward by many advanced races. Most thought humans were too weak, too soft, or too wild to stand a chance. The Zeran Council had almost forgotten to send them an invitation at all. But one human, Jason Ward, watched the news alone in his small room on the space station orbiting Earth. Jason was a soldier, tough and clever, but he felt out of place among his own people. He had lost friends in old wars, and his family had moved on without him. When he saw the announcement, something inside him stirred, a mix of hope and challenge. He laughed to himself. What's one more impossible mission? Jason signed up, surprising even himself. At the selection hall, he met the few other human contestants, a strong woman from Mars, a fast talker from Luna, and a quiet scientist from Europa. All seemed nervous, knowing the odds were against them. Still, they shook hands, sharing a feeling of pride that at least some humans would try. Soon, the Empire's shuttle came to pick up the contestants. Jason stared out the window as the ship raced toward Zephyra Prime, leaving behind the blue and white swirl of Earth. The shuttle was filled with others, strange shapes and colors. Aliens with wings, scales, or shimmering eyes. Many laughed when they saw the humans, and one tall creature from the Vornak world muttered, "Why bother? The princess would never choose a human." Jason ignored the laughter, remembering his days in the army. Stand tall. Watch. Listen. He noticed that some aliens also looked unsure, glancing at him with curiosity. Maybe, he thought, things were not so different everywhere. Meanwhile, in the royal palace, Princess Ariana sat on her balcony, watching the stars. She felt trapped by her role, knowing this tournament would decide her fate. She wondered if anyone would see past the crown and care about the real her. The galaxy waited, the tournament was set, and Jason Ward, one unlikely human, was about to begin an adventure that would change everything. The shuttle glided through the clouds of Zephyra Prime, heading for the royal arena. Jason looked out the window in awe. The planet was beautiful, endless green forests, rivers shining like silver, and tall crystal towers that touched the sky. As the shuttle landed, a crowd waited outside, waving flags and banners in every color. The contestants stepped out, blinking in the bright sunlight. Alien reporters snapped pictures, and tiny drones floated around, recording every moment. Jason walked with the other humans, feeling small next to tall warriors with golden armor or beings who glowed with strange light. He could feel their eyes on him, curious and sometimes amused. A small child pointed at Jason and asked, "Is that really a human?" A grand stage was set up in front of the arena gates. The Emperor stood high above the crowd, dressed in shining robes. Beside him was Princess Ariana, her face calm but her eyes sharp and watchful. The Emperor welcomed everyone, his voice booming. "Welcome, champions. Prove your courage and honor. May the best win the heart of Zephyra's princess." Guards handed each contestant a silver badge with their name and homeworld. Jason pinned his to his jacket, noticing the stares of nearby aliens. He kept his chin up, remembering his training. As the contestants lined up, a tall Vornak warrior stepped forward, smirking. "Careful, human," the Vornak said in a deep voice. "This is not a place for your kind." Jason met his gaze without blinking. "We'll see who belongs here," he replied simply. Inside the arena, everything was even grander. The floor was made of glass that glowed with gentle blue light. Holographic banners floated above, showing the faces of all contestants. The air buzzed with energy and excitement. Jason explored the halls, passing rooms filled with all kinds of food, training gear, and alien technology. He paused by a window, taking in the city outside. A mix of nature and technology unlike anything on Earth. In the contestants' living quarters, Jason met his roommate, an insect-like alien named Ziki. Ziki greeted him with 4 hands and a quick smile. "First time in the games?" Zeki asked. Jason nodded, grateful for a friendly face. They talked about their homes, dreams, and fears. Jason realized many contestants, no matter how strange they looked, felt nervous and alone, just like him. Meanwhile, Princess Ariana watched the new arrivals from her tower. She noticed the humans, especially Jason. He didn't seem scared or desperate to impress, just steady and alert. This made her curious. Unlike the loud champions who boasted of their victories, Jason watched, listened, and waited. As night fell, the arena lights glowed, and a trumpet sounded across the city. Tomorrow, the first challenge would begin. Jason lay awake, thinking of the journey ahead. He knew everyone expected humans to fail, but deep down, he was ready to prove them wrong. The adventure had truly begun. The sun rose over Zephyra Prime, casting golden light on the royal arena. Contestants gathered at the starting gate, dressed in simple uniforms. Everyone's badge glowed softly, showing their name and homeworld. Jason stood quietly, taking deep breaths. He could feel the excitement and fear in the air. A loud voice echoed from the speakers. "Champions, your first challenge is the Gauntlet of Shadows. It will test your courage and mind. Only the true-hearted will pass." The giant doors opened. Inside, a dark maze waited. Walls twisted, floors shifted, and shadows moved on their own. Jason looked at the map on his badge. It showed only the entrance and exit, with nothing in between. This was no simple obstacle course. It was designed to confuse and scare. Contestants entered in groups. Jason stepped in with Ziki and 2 others, a tall, silent warrior, and a small alien girl with bright blue eyes. The door shut behind them. The darkness was thick and heavy. Strange sounds echoed, growls, whispers, and footsteps. Lights flashed, making the shadows dance. Suddenly, a wall slid open and separated the group. Jason found himself alone, facing a long hallway full of moving shadows. The floor wobbled under his feet. He remembered his training. Keep calm. Trust your senses. He moved forward, hands touching the wall, eyes searching for traps. A sharp noise rang out. Jason jumped aside as a net dropped from the ceiling, barely missing him. He kept moving, sometimes crawling, sometimes running. At every turn, illusions tried to trick him. A wall that looked like a door, a shadow shaped like a monster. Jason focused on the sound of his own heartbeat. When he was scared, he thought of his old commander's advice. Bravery isn't about having no fear. It's about moving forward anyway. Halfway through the maze, Jason heard a cry. He followed the sound and found the small blue-eyed girl trapped under a heavy beam. She was frightened and hurt. Jason could have left her. Every second counted in the tournament, but he remembered what made him human. He lifted the beam with all his strength and helped her up. "Stay close," he said. Together, they moved ahead, watching for dangers. At last, a faint light showed the exit. Jason and the girl reached it together, breathless but safe. As they stepped out, the crowd outside cheered. Screens showed their faces, and Princess Ariana watched with interest. She saw how Jason helped another, even when he didn't have to. Other contestants stumbled out, some alone, some in small groups. Not all made it. Zeki arrived a few minutes later, covered in dust but smiling. Jason felt proud, not just for finishing, but for staying true to himself. As the sun set, the results were announced. Jason's courage and teamwork placed him among the top contenders. The next challenge would be harder, but tonight, Jason proved he belonged in the tournament. The next morning, the Royal Arena buzzed with excitement. Word had spread about the first trial, and people talked about the human who had helped another contestant escape the shadows. Even some of the alien warriors who had doubted Jason now watched him with curious eyes. Trumpets sounded, calling the champions to the center of the arena. The Emperor stood on a high platform, his voice carrying across the stadium. Champions, today's challenge is the Beast Arena. Here, you must show courage, cleverness, and compassion. You will face a creature never seen on your home world. Remember, the goal is not to harm, but to subdue. Gates opened around the edge of the arena, and cages rolled forward, each holding a different beast. Jason's heart beat fast as he watched one of the cages stop in front of him. Inside was a huge, scaled creature with 4 eyes and a long tail, roaring and clawing at the bars. The crowd cheered, hoping for action. A signal sounded. The cages opened all at once, and the creatures charged out. Some contestants attacked quickly, using nets, stun rods, and traps. But Jason hesitated. He looked into the beast's eyes and saw something. Pain and fear, not just anger. The animal limped, its back leg wounded. Instead of fighting, Jason knelt down and spoke in a calm voice. "Easy now. I'm not here to hurt you." The creature stopped for a moment, surprised. Jason remembered how he once rescued a stray dog on Earth by moving slowly and showing kindness. He kept his hands open and low. The beast sniffed the air, confused but less afraid. Jason tore a piece from his sleeve and held it out, letting the creature smell it. Slowly, he inched closer, ignoring the noise from the crowd and the shouts from other contestants. Some laughed, others watched in disbelief. When the animal growled, Jason sat very still. He saw a piece of glass stuck in its leg, causing its pain. "It's okay," he whispered. "Let me help." Very gently, he pulled the glass out and pressed his sleeve to stop the bleeding. The beast trembled but didn't attack. After a few tense moments, the creature lay down, breathing hard. Jason carefully stroked its head, earning a soft, grateful rumble. Finally, he led the animal to the side of the arena, away from the others. The crowd was silent for a moment, then erupted into applause. The Emperor and Princess Ariana exchanged glances. Jason's approach was unexpected, but his understanding and empathy were clear for all to see. Some contestants struggled, others triumphed with force, but none showed the same gentle strength as Jason. When the trial ended, Jason stood with his beast calmly at his side, while many others had to be separated from their frightened or angry creatures. Jason's actions gave everyone something to think about. Maybe there was more than one way to win a contest. As the sun dipped low, Jason felt hope growing inside him. He had faced the beast and his own fears, and won. The morning air was cool as the champions gathered in the Great Hall of Wisdom. The walls were covered with glowing symbols and screens showing puzzles, maps, and strange alien languages. The test today was different. It was not about strength or speed, but about brains and heart. The Emperor's voice echoed. "Today's challenge will test your mind and your ability to solve problems. You will face puzzles and questions from many worlds. Remember, the true champion understands not only power, but wisdom and diplomacy." Jason felt his pulse quicken. He was not the smartest in the room, but he trusted his instincts and how he listened to others. Many contestants rushed forward, eager to prove themselves. Jason took a deep breath and studied the first puzzle, a glowing cube with shifting patterns. At first, the puzzle seemed impossible. The patterns changed when Jason touched the cube. He remembered a trick from his childhood. Sometimes, you have to stop trying to force a solution and just watch. He stepped back and observed the cube's slow movements. Slowly, the patterns aligned, and the cube opened, revealing a key inside. Nearby, A group of alien contestants argued loudly over how to solve their puzzle. Jason approached and offered to help, sharing his idea calmly. At first, they looked at him with suspicion, but when the plan worked, their faces showed surprise and respect. The challenge also included debates. The Emperor presented a conflict between two alien planets over a disputed mining area. Contestants had to suggest a fair solution. Many shouted for war or took sides quickly. Jason listened carefully to both points and spoke clearly. What if both planets share the resources? We create a council with members from each side to protect the area. Cooperation can bring peace and benefit both. The room fell quiet. Some laughed at his simple idea, but the Emperor nodded thoughtfully. Even the princess smiled. Jason's answer was not just clever, it showed he cared about others. After hours of puzzles and talks, Jason found himself near the top of the leaderboard. The other humans cheered quietly, proud of their teammate. Jason felt something new. Hope. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a bridge between worlds. Princess Ariana watched from the balcony. She was impressed by the quiet human who did not seek attention but helped others. For the first time, she wondered what life would be like if someone like Jason ruled by her side. When the test ended, the Emperor spoke again. This challenge is not just about brains. It is about heart and respect. Jason Ward, you have shown us that strength comes in many forms. The crowd cheered loudly. Jason smiled, but inside, he knew the tournament was far from over. The real trials were coming, and the hardest tests had yet to begin. After the test of minds, the tournament's excitement grew. Contestants had proven their strength and wisdom, but the royal court was full of secrets and whispers. Not everyone wanted a human to win the princess's heart. Jason felt the change as soon as he entered the palace halls. Some eyes watched him with thin smiles and hidden anger. The Vornak warrior who had mocked him before now stared coldly. Rumors spread that Jason used tricks or luck, and some powerful families whispered about stopping him. One evening, as Jason trained in the palace courtyard, a sudden explosion shook the ground nearby. Smoke and dust filled the air. Jason and other contestants rushed to see what happened. The training equipment was destroyed, and some weapons were missing. The Emperor's guards began an investigation, but no one knew who was responsible. Jason suspected sabotage. Someone wanted to weaken the competition. He shared his concerns quietly with Ziki and a few trusted friends. We have to be careful. Not everyone here plays fair, Jason warned. Later that night, Jason found a shadow moving near his room. He grabbed a nearby staff and prepared to defend himself. The figure froze, then turned. It was Ariana. I wanted to talk, she said softly. The court is dangerous. Many want to see you fail, but I see something different in you. Jason lowered the staff, surprised. Why tell me this? Because I want you safe, she replied. And because I want to know who you really are. They spoke quietly under the moonlight. Jason told her about Earth, his past battles, and his hope to change the galaxy. Ariana shared her fears of being trapped by tradition and politics. They found understanding in each other's words. But their moment was cut short. A royal guard approached, whispering to Ariana. Her face hardened. I must go, she said. Be careful, Jason. The next day, Jason faced the challenges of the court. He noticed more tricks, contests with strange rules, questions designed to confuse him. But he stayed focused and calm. One morning, as he prepared for a new challenge, Jason found his food had been poisoned. Quickly, Ziki noticed and helped him recover with a healing herb from his planet. The attempt shocked Jason. It was no longer just a game. It was a fight for survival. Jason decided to stop hiding. He gathered a small group of honest contestants and palace staff who wanted fairness. Together, they began searching for the saboteur. Meanwhile, Ariana watched from her tower, worried but hopeful. She admired Jason's strength, not just his body, but his courage to face enemies hidden in shadows. The tournament was no longer only about winning challenges. It was about trust, loyalty, and heart. Jason knew one thing for sure: he would not back down. The next challenge was announced with great fanfare: the Dance of Blades. It was a duel unlike any other, fought in zero gravity, where skill, balance, and quick thinking mattered most. Contestants would face off one-on-one, each wielding an energy blade that hummed with power. The crowd buzzed with excitement, eager to see fierce battles. Jason stood in the waiting area, feeling the weight of the moment. His opponent was Vark, the Vornak warrior who had mocked him since the beginning. Vark was tall, strong, and fast, with years of training behind him. Many expected Jason to lose quickly. When the gate opened, Jason floated into the arena, his blade glowing blue. Vark entered from the opposite side, his blade burning red. The rules were clear: no killing, only disarming or forcing the opponent to yield. The zero-gravity field was a strange place. Jason felt light, but his movements had to be precise. One wrong push, and he could spin out of control. Vark attacked immediately, swinging his blade in a wide arc. Jason dodged, twisting his body to avoid the strike. The duel was fast and furious. Vark was aggressive, powerful, and confident. Jason was slower but careful. He watched Vark's patterns and learned. When Vark swung his blade high, Jason ducked low. When Vark rushed forward, Jason pushed off the wall and floated behind him. Jason remembered a lesson from his training: use your opponent's strength against them. When Vark launched a heavy strike, Jason caught the blade with his hand, feeling the energy pulse. Then, with a quick twist, Jason used Vark's momentum to spin him away, making him lose balance. The crowd gasped. Vark growled and attacked harder, but Jason stayed calm. His mind was sharp, finding openings, waiting for the right moment. With a quick move, Jason knocked Vark's blade out of his hand. Vark floated, bladeless and breathing hard. He looked at Jason with new respect and gave a slow nod. Jason smiled, holding out his hand. As the crowd cheered, Jason helped Vark steady himself. The princess watched with a small smile. For once, the underdog had beaten the champion with brains, not just brute strength. After the match, other contestants came to congratulate Jason. Even some who had doubted him before now saw his true skill and heart. Back in the contestants' quarters, Jason felt tired but proud. The Dance of Blades had shown him that fighting was not just about strength. It was about patience, strategy, and respect. As night fell over Zephyra Prime, Jason looked at the stars and thought of Earth. His journey was far from over, but today he had taken another step toward winning the princess's heart. And maybe changing the Empire forever. The tournament was reaching its final days, and the palace was alive with whispers. Jason had surprised everyone by making it this far. Some contestants grumbled, others looked on with respect. But Jason felt something more important stirring: his growing connection with Princess Ariana. That afternoon, the princess invited Jason to a quiet garden behind the palace. The garden was full of glowing flowers and soft, humming lights. Ariana sat on a stone bench and smiled warmly. "You've done well," she said. "But now you must understand why this tournament truly matters." Jason listened carefully as Ariana spoke about her life, how she was expected to marry for power, not love. She wanted a partner who could see her as a person, not just a prize. "The challenges are not just tests of skill," she explained. "They are ways to find someone who understands me." Jason nodded. "I never thought of it that way. I thought it was just about winning." Ariana looked at him closely. "You're different. You listen, you care. That is rare." They walked slowly through the garden. Jason asked, "What do you want for the future?" "I want freedom," Ariana replied softly. "Freedom to choose my own path, and I want to help the people of the Empire, not just rule them." Jason smiled. "That sounds like something worth fighting for." As they talked, Jason realized the tournament was not just about him proving himself. It was about building trust, about sharing dreams and fears. Later that evening, Jason returned to the contestants' quarters, his mind full of new thoughts. Some rivals approached him, less hostile now. They asked questions, wanting to know more about the human who had captured the princess's attention. Jason shared his story honestly, about Earth, about his hope for peace between worlds. Slowly, walls began to break down. Contestants from different planets started to talk to each other, sharing their own stories. Back in her tower, Ariana watched the growing unity. She felt hope. Maybe this tournament could change not only her future, but the future of the whole empire. That night, Jason lay awake, thinking about the final challenge ahead. It would test not just strength or mind, but the heart, and he was ready. Because winning the princess's heart meant more than victory. It meant becoming someone worthy of trust and love. The day of the final challenge dawned bright and clear. The entire empire seemed to hold its breath as the last contestants gathered in the grand hall. The air was thick with excitement, nervous energy, and hope. Jason stood quietly among the finalists, his heart steady but full of anticipation. Princess Ariana stepped forward, her voice strong and clear. Today, the final challenge is not a test of strength, skill, or intelligence alone. It is a test of understanding and choice. I will meet each of you, and then I will decide who wins my heart and who will stand beside me as we lead the empire into a new era. One by one, the finalists spoke with Ariana. They boasted of their victories, their power, and their plans for the empire. Many tried to impress her with words of conquest and strength. Jason waited patiently, listening carefully to each. When his turn came, he looked into Ariana's eyes and spoke honestly. I don't want to rule by power or fear. I want to stand with you as an equal, to build a future where all beings can live in peace and respect. I want to understand you, not just win a prize. Ariana smiled softly, feeling something real and rare in Jason's words. She saw his courage, his kindness, and his truth. The court fell silent as Ariana made her decision. The winner of this tournament, she announced, is Jason Ward, the human warrior who has shown us that strength comes from the heart as much as from the body. Gasps and whispers filled the hall. Some cheered, some looked shocked. Humans had never won before, and many found the choice surprising. Vark, the Vornak warrior, stepped forward and nodded respectfully. You fought well, he said. You earned this. Jason felt the weight of the moment. He had not just won a tournament. He had broken barriers, changed minds, and gained the princess's trust. Ariana took his hand. Together, she said, we will bring change to the empire. Not with fear, but with hope. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Jason looked around and saw faces filled with new respect and possibility. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it felt full of promise. The day after the tournament, the royal palace was alive with celebration. Jason Ward, the human warrior, stood beside Princess Ariana as the crowd cheered. Flags from many worlds waved in the air, and music filled the streets of Zafira Prime. It was a victory not just for Jason, but for humans everywhere. The emperor gave a speech, praising the bravery and heart shown by all contestants. But it was clear that this tournament had changed the empire. Many powerful families whispered about the new path, some worried, others hopeful. Jason felt a mix of pride and responsibility. He knew that winning the princess's heart was only the beginning. Together with Ariana, he planned to bring changes that would unite the many worlds under the empire, creating peace and fairness. In the days that followed, Jason met with leaders from different planets. He listened to their concerns and shared his vision of cooperation and respect. Some were skeptical, but many were inspired by his honest words and the example he had set in the tournament. Ariana worked alongside him, no longer just a princess, but a leader ready to make bold decisions. She trusted Jason's judgment and admired his courage to challenge old traditions. Together, they started new programs to help struggling planets, encouraged cultural exchanges, and created councils where all voices could be heard. The people of the empire began to feel hope. The tournaments would continue, But now they were more than just contests of strength. They were symbols of unity, proving that even the most unlikely champions could rise and make a difference. One evening, Jason stood on the palace balcony, looking out at the stars. He thought of Earth, of the journey that had brought him here. He felt grateful for the chance to prove that humans belonged among the stars. Beside him, Ariana smiled. "This is just the beginning," she said. "Together, we will change the galaxy." Jason nodded. A new era begins. As the stars shone brightly above, the Empire moved forward, stronger, kinder, and more united than ever before.